Shouts out Big Steve.
Shout out Mikey B. Shout out to the listeners. UFC Vegas 109. We're going to break this down from a betting perspective. And you know what? I'm going to talk about KSW and I'm going to talk about Oktagon because it's a really shit UFC and it's been shit for like 3-4 weeks. And I'm sick of breaking down these crappy cards. So honestly, I'll probably have better leans on the regionals. So it's my show. I can talk about what I want. So we'll do that. But I'll start off with the UFC because I know most people in here are casuals and they always want or they always prefer UFC breakdowns no matter how bad the cards are. So we'll start off with that and then I'll move on to KSW and then Oktagon. It might be a parlay week for me. I'm struggling to find things that are smash spots. So right away before I start, give me some parlays across all the organizations in the chat. Right? Let's cook something up before the end of the show. Alrighty, MMA guy, let's go. Lucky Tim, how are you, my friend? Hand feeling the ball sack emoji. That's how I'm interpreting it. So thank you. Alrighty. So let's get into it. Let's break down this shit show UFC fight, or card, I should say. So, I mean, Cody Brundage, Eryk McConico, what a way to start. What a way to start. This is a fight that I'm not interested in much, right? Cody Brundage is a favorite. It's funny. It just tells you how bad Eryk McConico is, and I can't really disagree with that, honestly. I liked the over at plus money before, but now it seems to have corrected. It was basically Cody Brundage inside the distance because this McConico guy, really, really harmless, even on the regionals, only finishes really bad guys. And when he does finish him, a lot of them are round twos and round threes. He's just extremely negative, and even in the UFC, didn't throw anything and he just got knocked out in round two. So basically just banking on Brundage and knocking him out. So I like the over plus money, but now Pick'em seems accurate. As I said, will Cody come out there aggressive, swinging overhand rights, or will he fight like he did the last time he was a favorite against Cedriques Dumas? So something to ponder right there, right? So last time he was a favorite, Cody laid an egg. This is a light heavyweight as well. Cody has a shitty goatee. He's rocking a really bad facial hair, so not interested. Not interested. Maybe I get on the over at Pick'em anyway. Who knows? Maybe you just play some Cody round one. What's Cody round one? We'll find some plays today. We'll find some plays today. Shout out Shady. Let's go. Shady has taken out a time out of his busy coal mining or iron rigging day to watch the show. Appreciate it. Alrighty, let me just see what this round one Cody is, then we'll move on. Wow, $3.25, not too bad. It could be worse. Under 2.5 rounds, maybe that's a parlay piece. Unless we see a bloody Abdul Malik fight. Cody KO plus 150. Not bad. Golfer 123, the GOAT Steve, the Discord has been elite. Thanks for the breakdowns. Underrated. It doesn't get the notoriety it should. Yeah, it is what it is. I've already accepted the fact. I'm not a very casual, friendly pod, but thank you for being in the Discord, mate. What's your Discord handle? Let me know. I want to know who I'm talking to. Alrighty, let's move on. Gabriella Fernandes, Julius Stoliarenko. Right, this one I said I like the under 2.5. Honestly, Julia, the only reason I haven't locked it in is because it's a little bit chalky, and Julia has been finished with 8 seconds to go in her last one, and by Julia Avila with 41 seconds to go. So she's quite tough. She's got a good chin. At the same time, she's hittable, and she's extremely gassy. So Gabriella Fernandes should get her out of there. And then you got a little bit of, Stoliarenko round one sub equity, like always, right? It has to be said. She almost subbed Alexis Davis of all people, who's been a black belt for a long time. So she can sub Gabriella Fernandes, who, in my opinion, I think is a purple belt. Last time I checked. And it's funny, Gabriella Fernandes doesn't have a finish in 1, 2, 3 fights against Kylie Judice, Teresa Bleda, and Jasmine Judovicius. And then she finishes Kong Wang, who has a great chin. We just saw Lipsky hitting Kong Wang, clean. And Kong Wang wasn't really reacting. She has really bad striking defense, Kong Wang. She's going to get exposed sometime soon again. And she dropped her and then she choked her out. I thought about KO, Gabriella Fernandes KO, but ultimately, she does go for subs. She's even submitted Jasmine Lucinda, who we'll talk about soon. Years ago, I think she was like 18 or 19. So, so I might just play that doesn't go. All right, it's minus 200. That could just be a 1-unit play, maybe a 2-unit. We'll see. So that's where we're at. Alrighty, maybe a parlay piece. The MMA guy, you said give a parlay piece. Fernandez round 2-3 sub parlayed with Dolidze. Matt, you're just giving me very specific stuff. Give me just 2 legs that are locks. Make it very easy. Wager-wise, MMA. Oh, that's right, Golfer. You're very active in there. Thank you, mate. I like, if someone's going to come in the Discord, I like them to be very active. The Discord that never sleeps, I like to call it. Curious on the over-under in this fight, Medic. I mean, for me, it's the under 1.5. That's the only thing I like here. The only reason I haven't played it yet is because Medic, has KOs round 2. He has KOs round 3. He carries his power late, but generally, it's going to be early. Gilbert Urbina, I faded him. Like with Radke, he seemed like he really hated the pressure that Radke was putting on him. It seems like he doesn't like to get hit. Brian Battle submitted him. Treishan Gold knocked him out, which now is really not aging well. All right, Treishan Gold about to be cut from the UFC. Maybe not. I forgot that he won 2 fights before Tulio and Vieira. But Treishan Gold, I mean, you look at his record since the Urbina fight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 fights, no KOs. Not only that, even on his first fight on Ultimate Fighter against the wrestler with no striking, didn't knock him out. So Urbina is the only one that's been knocked out by Treishan Gold. So it's aging dreadfully. So yeah, all my medics should knock him out. The thing went up to $1.77 at one point on BetOnline. I should have played that, and I was like, let me do some tape, let me make sure. And by the time I made sure, sometimes you gotta take strike when the iron is hot. You see a good line, just lock it in, do the tape later. That's where I'm at. I'm pretty sure Medic 2-3 is like a dreadful price. Let me have a look. Dreadful. Round 1 and 2, it's like the same as the under 2.5, 1.5. So yeah, I'll rather just play the under 1.5, personally. Alrighty, let me go through the comments. Medic KO, Hernandez and over 2.5. Yeah, maybe. Shady Big Brain. Alrighty. Joselyne Edwards, Priscila Cachoeira. I still maintain my same opinion on this one. I like Cachoeira or the under at plus money. I'm not really interested in parlaying Joselyne Edwards. She might be improving, whatever. Just can't do it. All my years and experience of betting, this is not a type of fighter that I would parlay or do anything like that. So let's move on. I need to do a bit more tape. But obviously Cachoeira, it's going to be, if he finishes, it's going to be KO. And obviously, I think with Edwards, it's going to be sub. Let's be honest. But you never know. She might get a ground and pound finish on top. So the only reason I haven't locked it in is because both seem generally durable. Right, Edwards has been hurt before, but seems quite durable. She took a beating against Rosa years ago and survived. And also Priscila, I mean, is there anyone more durable than her? Even subs, she doesn't get easy. She fights for your money. Let's move on. Elijah Smith, Toshiomi Kazama. Right, this, as I said, this is just some sort of Elijah Smith finish props. KO, KO1. It's all disgusting. The under 1.5 is honestly the best price. And it gives you a little bit around 2. And it gives you a little bit of Kazama, let's say submission upside. So I might just have to play that because after tape, I wasn't too chuffed about it. But it felt a bit forced after tape because it felt like it's only Elijah Smith KO and nothing else. And then when I looked at those prices, they were disgusting. But you know what percentage do you give Elijah Smith KO? That's the question. Is it better than $1.72, which is where the under is at? Maybe. Aaron Taylor durable, Vince Morales extremely durable, Josh Walker he ran through, Robert Trujillo. It gives you a little bit Elijah Smith sub. Is he going to sub Toshiomi Kazama? But if I go the whole way through with no plays on this card, then that might be the play that I lock in, honestly. Alrighty. Julius Walker, Rafael Cerqueira. What an interesting fight, right? This Julius Walker, $1.16 favorite over another warm body. Honestly, Rafael in his last fight against Bukaskis, he looked like he was warming up, and we're seeing some offensive striking that made me play him against Ibo Aslan. He was landing, and he was throwing some kicks and 1-2s. He was sitting on his punches. But then the second he got backed up against the cage and Bukaskis landed one combination, he knocked him out. He hurt him and then he knocked him out cold. Which getting knocked out by Bukaskis cold, unforgettable, man. I don't know if I could ever forgive that. So there seems to be a big durability advantage here. There's an age for Julius Walker and obviously a lot of recency bias for the fact that Julius Walker has, the best guy that he's fought on each other's record in Alonzo Menifield. He also went to a split decision on short notice. So that's the recency, Because of that, the public and the bookies think he's much better, but I don't think he's $1.16 against Rafael Cerqueira. He might be, because there is such a big durability edge, and Walker will pressure, and we've seen Rafael just dies when he's against the cage. But yeah, it's a shit show fight. The under 1.5, honestly, I remember thinking Julius Walker is not really good for unders, but I mean he cracked Alonzo, and he always comes forward, so that should force the under to happen here. But at $1.40, not really feeling it. He also likes to grapple. I'm not sure if he's going to submit Rafael. Rafael is a black belt, so if I force this like under 1.5 or like put it in a parlay, I just feel like it's going to lose. Alrighty, Eryk Hernandez versus Christian Leroy Duncan. I have half a unit on Eryk Hernandez. Like it feels forced, right? The guy's retiring. He's old. He's super, super washed, but he's somehow on a 2-fight winning streak. So how does a washed guy like Eryk Hernandez have 2-fight winning streak? Well, it's because they give him Jamie Pickett and an even more washed retiring Chris Weidman. So before that, he was dropped by Marc-Andre Barriault, which honestly I don't think is aging that bad. Marc-Andre Barriault is good, providing you don't knock him out in the first round. He can look good value. So that's where we're at. It feels forced. I had $5.30. $5.30 on Eryk Hernandez. It just made no sense that they gave him 18% to win a fight against Christian Leroy Duncan, who the two best guys that he's fought, Armen Petrosyan and Gregory Rodriguez, he looked lost. Against Armen Petrosyan, sure, he landed a spinning back elbow in round 3 and busted him up. And against Gregory, he landed nothing. And Gregory's chinny and gassy. And Gregory just 30-27 him. He busted him up on the feet and he grappled him quite easily for 3 rounds. So other than that, Dushko, Ribeiro, Tululian, Pulaev. Ribeiro and Tululian are cut. Dushko, if he doesn't beat Jose Medina, he deserves to be cut and retire, honestly. And the only reason he's not cut is because the UFC seems to like him. And Andre Pulaev, I mean, he has a UFC win against Nick Klein. So that might be his best win. But this is the type of fighter, right? Christian Leroy Duncan, he's getting 82% winning percentage over Eryk Hernandez. And Eryk Hernandez is going to pressure and grapple. He went to a split with Park. He should be able to go to a split with Duncan, but it does feel forced. Alrighty, what do we have here? Let me look at the comments. David, Edward to finish round 2-3 is plus 400. Not terrible. Edward, sorry, pardon me. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. That's if you don't give Priscila much of a finishing upside. Last card, solid live bets, but I don't know this one. Hopefully some of these favorites. Yeah, last card, it's annoying. There was 2 great live bets. Vieira, $1.44 over Tresean Gore. It looked like he had Tresean Gore covered everywhere. And obviously Pulaev would pick him when he lost round 1 to Klein, but Klein looked spent. That should have been a unit to 2 units live bets. And then we didn't get anything as good as that, but we'll see. If we get 2 live bets like that, I'm going to take advantage and just call it a day. Hopefully some of these favorites can slightly win round 1 and then odds will drop. Honestly, Anders is probably a better live bet, which is why I'm going to exit out of my money line. He's been dropped in round 1 3 times in a row. And he's going to be slow, like always. So we'll see. John Dong. What's up, John Dong? Your boy, I was thinking Johns or Fili have value, like Dogfather says. Yeah. I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible. Alrighty. Miles Johns, Matsumoto. Yeah, I do agree. Johns definitely has value. You know, a lot of people have been very negative about it in the Discord, you know, saying, how does Johns win this? I'm like, well, the guy is 9-1 in the UFC on decisions. You know, and a lot of them, if not most of them, are as underdog. So I'm sure a lot of people thought, how does he win? And then he wins. And he wins unanimous. He's a good minute winner. There's a lot of stuff about Johns, you know, being low output, low cardio, low durability, but I think he's proven in plenty of fights that that's not the case. Felipe Lima, this is a similar fight to Felipe Lima, in my opinion. Gene, you know, has good leg kicks. He's a good kicker, throws in combinations, decent striker, and has a nice guillotine. You know, Felipe Lima is actually, in my opinion, better, has more upside to Gene, and he's a better grappler. And yeah, that was competitive. That was a 30-27 for Felipe Lima, but that's one of the most competitive 30-27s I've ever seen. Johns landed a bit overhand right behind the ear of Felipe Lima, and then that rocked him, and the crowd went crazy, but he still didn't get that round. So that's interesting. Round 2, he got taken down, had his back taken, and then Johns reversed, took his back. So I don't know. Just Gene Silva is like he's losing to Dan Aguera, and then he gets a guillotine. His fight with Brad Katona, extremely competitive, unanimous, but it was a 29-28, extremely competitive. And then he lost the fight, a split to Rob Font on short notice. Again, Rob's chinny is a bit washed, but that was like, you know, if you don't hurt or knock out Rob Font, he can give you a fraud check. So I don't know. He's not covering. Gene Matsumoto is not covering these lines. All right. If that fight went to round 3 against Dan Aguera, he would have been 2-0 down. So it's a dog or pass, but the tape is just, it makes it a hard click, you know, the tape. Because Felipe Lima is the closest guy. You know, Douglas Diller didn't drive, didn't really throw much. Cody Gibson, extremely washed. Vince Morales, you know, low volume. So, but it's a dog or pass. Dog or pass. Maybe just stick to live betting. Andre Fili, Christian Rodriguez. Everyone is on Fili. You know, I get it. It makes sense. I don't think Fili is as good as Julian Erosa or even Melzek Costa. Just because he's old and he's like, 35, 36. Those other 2 guys, you know, Erosa's also old, but he's on a bit of a... I thought Erosa was always one of the better guys outside the ranking. It's just his chin holds him back. Fili also has a bad chin. Yeah, he's 35. So 35, yeah. Killed by Ige, round 1 sub by Costa, barely beat Cup Swanson. I thought that was a robbery. He did kill Lucas Almeida, which is okay. I bet him against Algio. That wasn't a split. He won a clear 29-28. So he's got some takedowns. He's got... And he's got some physicality. So the first, on the early tees, I mentioned I like him to get subbed, right? Just because C-Rod always goes for front headlock series, good chokes. He's very good at them. And I feel like Fili could probably dive into it. He's been guillotined twice now. And he does go for takedowns. But I do get why people are playing Fili. You know, on the feet, he's going to be longer. He's going to be faster. He's very good with the kicking, just like Melzek Costa. And Christian Rodriguez is mostly a 1-2 type of boxer. So Fili can keep him on the outside. You know, I thought he was washed. I thought he was going to retire soon. But in the interview, he says, you know, he's got a kid. He doesn't really plan on retiring anytime soon. So he's enjoying it. So I don't know, man. It's a dog or pass again, I guess. Or if I had to force something, a big prop, I'll probably do Christian Rodriguez. Alrighty. Let's go back to Lucinda Angela Hill. I'm still favoring Angela Hill, honestly. I'm glad I waited because, you know, the people playing Lucinda, money's coming on Lucinda. So plus 160, plus 170. I'll probably just get on Hill, man. I have to do a little bit more tape of Lucinda. I take the last two. I know those fights well because I played her against Marina Rodriguez, but I'll just go a bit more back and I'll watch her fight with Loopy because Loopy's fighting next week. So we'll see. Shady. Lucinda froze last fight. I don't think she froze. That's how she fights. She's extremely slim margins. She looked frozen against Marina Rodriguez too. She takes too long to grapple. She likes to strike. This was evident on tape. But the thing is, Angela Hill will bring the fight to her. Angela's a scrapper, so we'll see. Interesting fight. Dogger pass for sure. This is the closest I am to a money line. Steve Erceg versus Oda Osbourne. I thought I liked the under 2.5 rounds here at minus money. And then, I just kind of talked myself out of it a little bit. $1.66. Right, if Oda doesn't knock him out, then I'm kind of relying on Steve Erceg rounds 2 and 3. Probably some sort of ground stoppage because Oda is not chinny. Most of his finishes come on the ground, getting broken or gassing out and then getting finished on the ground. Alsal Mabayev, Rafael Fili, Ronaldo Rodriguez, lazy boy, almost finished him in round 2, but he showed some good heart and scrambling to get out of that. Tyson Nam knocked him out with a big punch. Manel Cap as well. He survived CJ Vergara round 3 when he was gassed. And he just gets submitted a lot. So I guess Steve Erceg is the best path here. But Steve, he says he needs a win. And he doesn't care how he wins. That's the most important thing. Steve can be a little bit patient. No finishes in the UFC other than Matt Schnell. Alessandro Costa is chinny. He dropped him, couldn't finish him. David Warwick, he kind of hurt him, couldn't finish him. So, I don't know. At minus money, it feels a little bit forced. Steve is well aware of Ode's power and length on the feet. So, he's very hittable, but I feel like he's going to be very patient. And we might see some grappling here. Honestly, watching him face off, Ode is matching his height. And he's longer and he's thicker as well. So I don't think this is the easiest matchup for Steve Erceg. It's just the way they matched up, It's just styles make fights. So I'm a bit scared for the guy. He's not my favorite fighter, Steve, but he's from Australia. He's got a Balkan background. He's a great guy. I hope he does well. I don't want him to see on a 4-fight losing streak, especially losing to bloody Ode Osbourne of all people. Golfer. Oda round 1 dangerous. Erceg questionable striking defense. Of course, that's the consensus. That's why we're talking the way we're talking. And the main event, I'm very intrigued about this fight. I think Roman Dolidze or pass. That's a no-brainer. $1.30 on Anthony Hernandez. When honestly, Anthony Hernandez has had easier matchups in his UFC career. He's had more gassy guys. He's had more flaky and guys that are worse on the ground. I think Roman Dolidze is quite elite on the ground. There's plenty of footage of him inverting and, even sweeping Imavov in round 4 with a beautiful leverage sweep. It's very nice. Very nice. So Anthony Hernandez doesn't really cover himself amazingly when he's grappling people. He almost lost to Arnold Allen, 2 guys that are known to lose position. Allen was like 1 or 2 minutes away from winning that fight. So yeah, the only thing is the 5-rounder here, but we might have some good ebbs and flows. If you're going to play Anthony Hernandez, live bet. Always live bet. I think Roman Dolidze has all the finishing upside early. He can crack him. He can drop him. Hernandez hasn't fought really anyone that's more physical than him, right? Like, last time he's fought a physical grappler, you have to go back to Rodolfo Vieira, and Rodolfo Vieira was throwing him around, right? And he gassed. This is the Vieira that couldn't really pace himself. He's adjusted himself since that fight, and he's getting thrown around. Josh Friend, weak. Marc-Andre Barriel, bad takedown defense. Edmund Shabazian, he was doing well until late round 2. Kopilov again. Michel Pereira, probably the most physical guy, but he was done like 30 seconds into that fight. It's weird that Michel Pereira seems to have worse cardio at middleweight. Like, he didn't fix his issues at all moving up. So yeah, like, Roman Dolidze reminds me of Rodolfo Vieira, but who's not going to gas out that quickly. He's very patient, and he gets offensive grappling off himself. So I don't think Fluffy's just going to rush him, put him against the cage, and take him down in the first round or 2 while he's fresh. And he doesn't have the power or the striking to hurt Dolidze like Imavo, for example. But Dolidze does have a weird chin, he was cracked bad by Giles, he was cracked by Vittoria of all people, so you never know. This guy does seem to have some chin issues, but he's incredibly tough. So, gun to my head tomorrow, I would probably play the over 3.5 rounds. Dolidze has never been finished in the UFC, even when he ate that brutal damage to Imavov in round 1, he still survived another 4 rounds. Other than that, like no one's, Trevin's been close, but he still didn't finish him. So, yeah, I think this probably goes over. Anthony Hernandez, right? Round 5 with the corpse of Michelle. 3 rounds with Allen, never really close to finishing him. Kopylov, he's known to break. Shabazian into round 3. Barriol into round 3 with a broken rib. Josh Frem made it to decision. So, honestly, the only risk with the 3.5 rounds is that the leader runs through him quickly. All right. So that's where we're at. I only have Eryk Anders, and I don't really like it. So if you didn't tune into the show at the start, I'm looking for parlays. I'm gonna tackle the regionals now. Give me some parlays. Across multiple organizations. I haven't done a lick of PFL Africa. It disgusts me. Maybe give me some PFL Africa plays. But in terms of what I like, Cody Brundage, maybe look at some Ramon KO or over. Gabriella Fernandes doesn't go. I'll probably just play the doesn't go there, minus 200. Medic, I'm still liking the under, but waiting for it to improve. Doesn't look like it will. Cachoeira will pass, doesn't go or pass. Elijah Smith, the under is still staring at me. Walker, Rafael fight is disgusting. I have Anders. I don't mind the over 2.5 here. My only issue is Anders is retiring, and Duncan might land some stupid spinning shit. But yeah, I mean, it's both guys are durable. So Jones will pass, Fili will pass, I guess, or C-Rod sub. Angela Hill will pass easy. I might get to that play. And Erceg, I guess the under, but I haven't locked it in. And maybe the over 3.5 in the Roman Hernandez fight. The 2.5 rounds might be a lock. Let me have a look what the 2.5 rounds is. Let me have a look. 2.5 rounds. Go on to Bet365. Minus 200. Bit shit. Bit crappy. Alrighty. Let's go to Oktagon. Talk about the fights on the tape. So I didn't tape this chick fight. I didn't tape the second fight. Ligoki versus Langen. He should knock out this Langen guy. Langen is a striker, but he's very bad. So I guess you could say Ligoki is a parlay piece, but it's $1.20. Very, very chalky. Zavada versus Camille. I thought about Camille. Zavada's been knocked out like 6 or 7 times in his last 8 fights. He also hasn't won he's won like 1 in 7 as well, going back to UFC and with PFL. So I honestly thought about Camille, but the more I take Camille, bad defense, really bad cardio. So I think Zavada could break him down a stretch, but it's one of those fights where the favorite could knock him out, and then the dog could win if he doesn't get knocked out. So a bit of a shit show. I don't usually force those kind of plays. So move on. Radik Rashal, I take this Adrian guy because he's a massive underdog, and Rashal is always a red flag waiting to happen. But fortunately, Adrian is a striker. So this is striker versus striker, and Radik has a kickboxing background. He generally does well against strikers. His issue is the grapplers. So yeah, and the one fight with Adrian that extended, he just looked completely gassed. He's been fighting all bums. So it could be another squash, but even in striking versus striking, I think Radik is never really a parlay type of guy. Icelandic farts. Better late than never, my friend. Welcome. Alrighty. MMA. Oh, bro, what the fuck is with this tab today? Camille's a fighting nerds. Interesting. MMA Kasangani. I didn't know that. I don't know if that's going to change anything, but look, if I had to force something, you will be a play on Camille. Piotr Wawriniak versus Kajevan. This fight, there's been a lot of cancellations. Piotr is a dog. He was meant to fight Penaz. And honestly, this Hayat guy is a dog too. He seems like a bit wide, right? The only reason I haven't played it is because, let me have a look. Hayat, wants to grapple, and Piotr actually has good grappling himself. He's got some good power. Got submitted by David Zawada. this Hoyt guy. He was winning and then a last 60-second heel hook. So, but there's got to be some value on him. But honestly, Piotr just seems like the better version of him. He seems the better version. He's got power. He's got grappling. He did almost lose to Andres Michailidis. So that's the red flag. I played him then, and I think I got lucky. I don't know. Actually, wiki capping this now. He also got subbed by Kinsel. He's completely washed. I think Hoyt has some value. Big dog or pass there. There might be some value there. Krzysztof Joko versus Marek Mazuch. Look, again, another fight that wasn't meant to happen. Mazuch lost to Piotr. He got knocked out. Marek is a guy that can knock out anyone in the first round. He knocked out Zavada. He's the only guy to knock out Apollo Silva, right? Extremely durable guy that was in the UFC. And yeah, basically, he can also be knocked out himself. He's a little bit chinny, and he can be grappled. So that's why Jotko is such a massive favorite. He just grappled Ion Sudu, the welterweight champion in Oktagon, and 130-27, which is interesting. So that's his path. But Mazuch can kill anyone. So I can see some people being tempted on Mazuch. $4 for a puncher's chance. Not bad. I was about to do against Piotr, and I didn't, and Piotr knocked him out. So that's the thing. His kill will be killed, and he can be grappled. So if Jotko can just stay safe, he should be able to beat him. But can't fault anyone for a dog or pass. Dominic Hamburger versus Mark Hume. I have half a unit on Hamburger at $3.50 on Bet365. Not even half a unit, $2.40. I couldn't put any more. Obviously, it was an early line. And, I've just been contemplating about cashing it out, although the line is moving finally. So ultimately, the only reason I'm considering cashing out is just it feels a bit forced. Dominic should be the underdog, right? He gets hurt, he gets dropped, he gets grappled, and he just comes back. He's a very scrappy guy with a lot of holes in his game, but he comes back and wins on tenacity and heart and cardio, right? This Mark Hume guy, he was an Ultimate Fighter. He's got a pretty good record for a journeyman, 13-3. He just finished Andre Michailidis, hurt him, and then guillotined him, which is aging okay, and beat Zachary Powell in Unified and MMA. He's like another grappler. And this other fight, in ACA, he almost submitted this dude multiple times. He's just a grinder. So he can definitely grind out Dominic Hamburger, but Hamburger gets up. He works his way up. But he has been backpacked before by Lesko in KSW, and I think that's why this line is where it's at. Bartosz Lesko, that was a one-day notice for Lesko, and it was up at light heavyweight. And he won 30-27 against Hamburger. So it's a clear dog or pass, man. It's one of those fights where Hamburger, you only have to play him as an underdog because he never covers as a favorite. So he even got hurt in his Oktagon debut by Kristovic and then came back and knocked him out. So I think Hume can take him down. He can drop him. But if it's like 1-1 into the third and Dominic, has the better cardio, I still think Hume can maybe take him down. That's how bad his grappling is and how scrappy he is. Also, the Oktagon judging, really, really annoying. I've been burnt many times in the Oktagon judging. They don't really care about damage. Like, they always give the rounds to the grappler. Like, we've seen it with Jotko. We've seen it when I played the two Serbian fight, Predrag Bogdanovic versus Fedor Duric. In the UFC, that would have been a clear 29-28 Duric, maybe 30-27. And he, they just gave it unanimous to Bogdanovic just for holding him. So if Hume gets his back for like once or gets his back with like 20 seconds to go, it feels like Oktagon is just going to give him the round. That's how the judging goes. Very frustrating. Alrighty. Kareem Engizek versus Mick Stanton. Engizek should beat him. But Mick Stanton is a dog. He'll go for takedowns. I just haven't really done enough tape to see. I see some people playing Stanton. So I'll look into it because Kareem has lost 4 fights before. Right. He's very good. He's beat, Patrick Kinsel for the title. There's another guy that potentially wanted to grapple him. But Stanton is different in terms of just constantly going for grappling. So, yeah, I don't know. Kind of not really interested, to be honest. And the main event, I haven't taped it. Cecilia Bolanda versus Lucia Sabova. Sabova has a lot of hype, so she's minus 200 favorite. It makes sense, but honestly, my gut says there might be some value on Cecile. So we'll look into it. I know Lucia can be taken down. She's been taken down many times. Alrighty, now let's get down to KSW. I feel like this card has the most value. I haven't locked anything in, but I've been close many times. So I'm going to look at some more odds and see if I can lock in and play. So the first fight, Mikhail Gennady versus Viktor Savinsky. I was going to lock in Savinsky at Pick'em, but the line keeps moving. He generally has the worst takedown defense, this Savinsky guy, and he's not on short notice. The other guy's on short notice. Mikhail is like a DDP, Polish DDP, comes forward, wants to take down, and yeah, just he's been knocked out in all his in his one loss, and his other losses that he was losing. Sorry, his other wins, he was losing, and then he just gets a takedown and finishes. So it's just like full DDP stats. And this Victor guy, he's lost to better dudes. He's been submitted in his last one, but I just feel like he's younger. He's not on short notice. They plucked Gennady off the regionals, to fill in for this fight, and it was 1-1 going to the third against the 40-year-old man, and he won round 3, but it was all bloodied and tired. I just feel like his path is just to ape something, but whereas Victor, he's 20 years old, 21, and he's got all the upside, but the public seems to agree, so the line has moved a bit, so that pisses me off. But it's Victor or pass. Pick'em was an easier click, but we'll see. Boris Jakovsky versus Van der Merks. Van der Merks, I said this guy's a bum, a fraud. He got knocked out by Lade. He hasn't fought anyone good. Even in his amateur fight, in his amateur loss, he got sparked by the other best guy that he's fought. So he might have some chin issues. He's obviously a good grappler. Boris is plus 150. He's not the best fighter. He's another scrappy guy it's a kickboxer, and he's lost to Damian Mietkovsky. He got hurt many times, and then he also lost to Chris. He beat Bielski via split, but in round 3 he got taken down and didn't get up for like 4-something minutes. So he might be fish on the ground. And he also lost to Dominic Hamburger, a unanimous decision, which we just spoke about. Dominic, scrappy fight. It was a back and forth fight. So he's very scrappy, and he might have some value because of that if he can survive like a back take or two from Van der VDM. But again, it's just one of these scrappy, shit show fights. You just have to, at KSW, you just have to play the value, not really overthink it. But he could get taken down and he could get rear naked choked, But this Allen guy might be a fraud. That's all I'll say. Eduardo Kexel versus Joseph Stumar. Togo pass here. I understand why Kexel's the favorite. He's got good takedowns. He's got good power, but he's chinny. And this Stumar guy, he's got a salty 5-2 record. He's dropped the ball many times, right? He was beating this Kaziesko guy, and then he put his head in a ninja choke with 1 minute to go. He got knocked out by Cachoeira as a favorite, round 1. And then just the other guys that he's beat, he's got a round 1 KO knockout, and he's got a triangle over this Adrian guy who is a jiu-jitsu sub-bus guy, and he gassed him round 2, and then Stuma beat him. So there's value on him. He's improving. He's 27, 28. This Kexel guy, it looks very good on tape, but he's got some holes. But I don't know. It's hard to trust Stuma. I think Stuma needs a KO, honestly. Bartosz Shibitsky versus David Kaspersky. This is the closest fight I got to locking in part 2. David is a striker. He's a K1 Polish striker, kickboxer as a southpaw, and he just sticks and moves. His 2 wins are over a boxer, credentialed boxer in KSW, and another kickboxer. And yeah, they didn't really grapple much, goes without saying. He was on the ground, but he got up. And this Bartosz guy, he's a striker. He was on the Dana White Contender Series. He fought that Kazakhstani Nurzagay, the dude that was Kimura'd by Ribeiro. And he got knocked out by him, and then he got knocked out by Damian, which is not bad. Damian knocks out everyone. But he's just a striker. So this is striker versus striker, and I honestly contemplated playing David Kaspersky, but he's 37, right? He's just going to stick and move for 3 rounds. Bartosz, if he's smart, he will go for takedowns. So that's why I haven't locked it in. I've seen some fights where he's finishing with ground and pound, so he's obviously ended up on the ground somehow. So yeah, it's just Mm, I wish David had more power because Bartos might be chinning, but it's a dog or pass. Oscar Shepaniak versus Daniel Skibinski. I mean, Skibinski's washed and chinny, but he's going to try grapple here. Oscar, a little bit overrated, but he should win this fight. I don't really take it much. Yeah, he gets knocked out a lot, Skibinski. So maybe Oscar's my parlay piece that I've been asking the chat before. Evelina Wozniak, Monica Kucinic. Talking about parlay pieces, I thought Evelina would be one. She usually runs through these girls in KSW. But honestly, this Monica chick's not bad. She's from Brave. She has good takedown defense, which she will need in this fight, and decent striking. She's finished Sofia Bagshvili twice. They both fought her. Evelyn finished her as well just recently. But other than that, she's a little bit slim margin. That's the issue. So I taped 2 fights, and I like what I saw from her as a big underdog. She has this loss to Natasha Kuzatina, who's the LFA, or maybe was the LFA champion, female champion. She's a Russian judoka. Yeah, I think she still is the champion. She never lost. So she lost to her. So I'll watch that fight, see how the grappling went. She obviously didn't get submitted, which is good. But yeah, I'm thinking there might be some value on this dog. Mikhail Michalski versus Andy Ratarich. I honestly liked Andy as an underdog. He was a massive underdog last time. And some money came on him. So the public obviously agrees. So now I'm just thinking, let me put the brakes on here. I think they're both live to kill each other. Michal's been knocked out a bunch in round 1. Andy's been knocked out in round 1. And he's been dropped many, many times. And yeah, that's the issue. It's just another shit show scrappy fight with 2 guys that are not durable. If you had live betting, this would be a perfect fight, like a few other fights. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. Now the money's coming on Andy. I'm not sure. Piotr Kuberski versus Radoslav Pachuski. This is a title fight. And honestly, Piotr Kuberski, he's been on a tear in KSW. He's the champion. And they've been giving him all washed and chinny guys. And he's been running through them. And Pachuski, honestly, he's a little bit chinny as well. But he has power. And he is a big guy with a striking background. And he has power himself. So old mate Kuberski has been getting cracked. He's been getting cracked, and his chin's been holding up, and he's been running through guys. But this is a dog or pass, and I honestly feel like I should play Radoslav. He runs, he sticks the moves, he throws calf kicks, and that might be a good style for him. Honestly, this is a dog or pass for me. He's the one guy to knock out Lade Zahuni. Lade is we just talked about him. He knocked out Van der Meek. He's been knocking out everyone in KSW, and he also hurt Radoslav. But Radoslav caught him and knocked him out back. So he's got to punch his chance. And yeah, this is a dog or pass. Piotr hasn't really fought anyone. He's 16-1, but doesn't have many good wins, honestly. So, but he's big, and he's got big power and hardware. So it takes him a long way. But dog or pass. So as I mentioned, in my opinion, this card has the most value. I'm just tackling through it. I have till tomorrow. Savitsky, I was the closest to. Boris feels like a dog or pass. Stuma feels like a dog or pass. David, dog or pass. Oscar honestly feels like a parlay piece. This chick fight feels like a dog or pass. Andy was a dog or pass. And Radoslav Pazuski. All right. If you know me, I love KSW. I generally need to lock in more plays on it because all my leans hit, even if they're dogs. So yeah, that's where we're at. I only have one play across the whole weekend on Eryk Anders. So, if you've been listening to this podcast from the start, props to you. And yeah, follow me on Twitter. Jump in the Discord. There'll be some plays. I just need to tackle them out. And yeah, like and subscribe. MMA guy. I told you I haven't taped one fight of PFL Africa. It disgusts me. It's basically EFC. These KSW and Oktagon they're higher level promotions, honestly. And they have higher level fights than the UFC. So, alrighty. Thanks for listening. Peace out.